All right, it's the first annual meeting of the Walt Weiss International Fan Club. Do you love this card as much as I do? Let's see what we can find out about the greatest card of the 1990s. Stick around.
It's a long fly ball deep to right. Way back! It's gone! Home run! How about that?
Boom! Waka!
Marino was right on target. We are live from the Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida. There's a sellout crowd, of course.
Oh, did you just call it? And he does!
Welcome to Base is Beautiful. My name is MD, and today we have to talk about what I believe is the greatest card, well, let's say the greatest looking card of the 1990s. And yes, it is the 1991 Topps Walt Weiss card, number 455, this incredible action shot that I put on par with the Pee Wee Reese card from the 1953 Bowman color set, one of the earliest action shots that we have on a baseball card. But this card, to me, is quintessential early 90s. I don't care that it's the junk wax era. I don't care that there's hundreds and hundreds of these cards out there. I think this is one of the greatest cards of the 1990s, and I want to talk about it today. Now, I wish I knew a whole lot about this card. I wish that there was a book written about what was happening, what the 1991 Topps design, whoever took this photo, whoever was making choices about what pictures were going to go with which players and all of that process, because I would just love to know more about the card. Unfortunately, there is next to no information out there that exists apart from just a little bit I could find out about the game and about Walt Weiss's career. Obviously, like, that information is out there, but the actual information about what was happening here on this card when they put this together and what was the expectation behind it and how did somebody get this incredible shot, we just don't know. So if anybody has any information, please talk about it in the comments, send me a link, shoot me an email. I want to know more if there's more to know, if anybody happens to know anything. But I want to talk about Walt Weiss today because in my mind as a kid, when I pulled this card out of a pack of 1991 Topps, I had to think, like, this is one of the greatest players of all time. Because this is obviously, you would only have this kind of picture for a player who's one of the greatest of all time. Now, I mean, Walt Weiss was a good player in his time, don't get me wrong. He's obviously not in the Hall of Fame. Probably for most people, he's not even necessarily in the Hall of Very Good. I don't know. It depends on how people kind of rank that. He was a very important player, especially for the Oakland during this late 80s, early 90s, and they were a great team. And actually, you know, they struggled after Walt Weiss left. So do with that what you may. But let's talk about Walt Weiss as a player and talk about his career a little bit. So there's the 1990 Upper Deck card. Got a nice portrait of him. And Walt Weiss was a player who, over his career, he had a 16.5 WAR. He batted .258 batting average, 1,207 hits, 25 home runs, 386 RBIs, 96 stolen bases, 623 runs scored. He played from 1987 to the year 2000, and his career spanned Oakland. He played in 1993. He played with the Florida Marlins in their inaugural season. He then played for the Colorado Rockies from 1994 to 97, and then he played for the Atlanta Braves and ended his career between 1998 and 2000, being the last year that he played for them. And then he would then go into being a major league manager and played managed with the Colorado Rockies, was also in the Braves organization for a while. And so he's continued to be around the game of baseball and serve in those capacities over the years. Now, he was drafted in 1985, and he was a first-round draft pick, 11th overall. He had previously been drafted out of high school by the Orioles in the 10th round, but decided to go to college and, improve his draft ranking. And his first season coming up was in 1987, and his first card, his rookie card, is this 1988 Fleer Glossy, which he shares with Dave Otto, who really didn't do anything, but Walt Weiss would go on to have more of a impactful career than Mr. Otto would. Let's keep this amazing card right here in frame. All right. So, yes, I have a graded Walt Weiss rookie card, because why not? I mean, I love these underrated guys. I love these guys who were great players for their team for a time, or important pieces. And look, the years that he played with the A's between 1987 and 1992, I mean, those were some really good years, and you had stacked teams. I mean, Ricky Henderson, Mark McGuire, Jose Canseco, Dave Henderson, Dave Stewart, Dennis Eckersley, Bob Welch. I mean, these were when they went to the World Series in 1990, which they ended up losing to the Reds. But that was the year that Ricky Henderson won MVP in the American League, and Bob Welch won the Cy Young Award in the American League. And that was all that the 1990 season also happened to be Mr. Weiss's best season. Now, before we get too deep into this, I just want to acknowledge he liked music, and his favorite album, he said, was Bruce Springsteen's Darkness on the Edge of Town, and his favorite song was Prove It All Night. So let me hit a live version of that. All right. So the cool thing about this 1991 card is that this depicts the 1991 card is showing him in top form from his best season, which was the 1990 season. So the 1990 season, Walt Weiss had a 4.2 WAR, and he turned 77 double plays. And you're getting one of those double plays happening here in this shot. Let's see, I've got some more show and tell to do here. Here is the autographed version of this card, number 455. That's just the standard flagship release. It doesn't show up great. I don't love it. I mean, I love that it's signed, but I love the card itself. But I definitely wanted a signed copy. That was one of the first pickups I made when I got back into the hobby, because, I mean, this is just such a classic card. But let me tell you a little bit about this game. So here's something that I did learn. This was the second game of a doubleheader that Oakland had against the Cleveland Indians. And in actually game one, Walt Weiss went 4 for 4 in the first game. But this shot comes from the second game in that series that was happening, obviously, in Oakland, because he's in the home team white jerseys there. And so I was able to find that in the top of the fifth inning, Carlos Baerga led off the inning with a single off A's pitcher Dave Stewart, and then the catcher Skinner was followed up with a walk. I think that's Joel Skinner, right? The catcher for the Indians at the time. And then Jerry Brown is actually the one who grounded into the 4-6-3 double play, which moved Baerga to third, where he would be stranded. But Skinner was moving to second, and that's where you get this incredible shot. Now the thing is, I was trying to find video. Is there is there some video out there that existing on Facebook? I mean, on YouTube. I mean, Facebook too. Anywhere. Is there video of this double play being turned? I couldn't find it, and I looked. I mean, there's a lot of games that have been put onto YouTube over the years, but this game from July 18th, 1990. It was a Wednesday night. The second game of the doubleheader, like I said, against the Cleveland Indians and the Oakland Athletics. I couldn't find anything. In fact, I even looked in the newspapers. You can do these subscriptions to newspaper.com, or you can sign up for a short-term access to that. And so I was looking to see if any of the local Oakland coverage of the games actually had some kind of shot of this or talked about a double play being turned, and nobody actually references it. So when this happened in the game, I guess this was just kind of a standard issue double play, but it doesn't look like it from the picture. So I don't know what to do with that. That's just kind of one of those crazy things. And so a little bit of history about the card. Let me just say, this is not the first card where Walt Weiss was incredibly athletic and airborne in the picture. I mean, there are numerous cards over the years of Walt Weiss off his feet, in the air, and I don't know, like, if I don't know how that came about for him, because I don't remember that being the case with all shortstops, like getting all of these airborne throwing pictures the way that he did. But if you go through all of these different cards and you're seeing some of them, like, look at how many cards that he's airborne in. And here is the first one that I could find of him actually airborne. This is the 1990 score. So this would have been a shot from the 1989 season against the Yankees. And he's airborne there. Kind of a similar stance to what he has going on there in the 1991. So that was just kind of his standard way of jumping over the runner to ensure that he could throw the ball safely to first base without getting swiped out on the base path there. I mean, you can see how far he is off the bag. I mean, like, you can't do this anymore. You can't try and swipe over this direction to get the shortstop, to knock his legs out from under him. But baseball used to be crazy. But this is a cool card. Also, by the way, this is a Pop 1. I spent all of $12, including shipping, to get it. Beautiful. Green and yellow border, color matching the A's. So I'm like, yeah, I will get that. That would go great in my little Walt Weiss run here. So, a little bit of history about the 1991 Topps. So the flagship card has been graded, 4 times. There are 2 9s and 2 8s in the flagship release. Now the OPC has only been graded 1 time, and it's been graded a 10. The Desert Shield has been graded 100 times, as you would expect, because that's a series that gets counterfeited sometimes. I don't know if the Walt Weiss one gets counterfeited. Maybe they all do. I'm not sure how that works, but that one's been graded 100 times. There's 8 10s, 53 9s, and 28 8s. And then the Tiffany is a Pop 9. There are 8 10s and 1 9. And yes, that was a lead-in to the fact that I have a 1991 Topps Tiffany Walt Weiss graded in a Gem Mint 10, because this is the greatest card of the 1990s, and I needed it in this form. So let's just admire this for a second.
For your love. Come on!
Now, another interesting thing about the 1991 set is that the 1991 Upper Deck set has a picture of Walt Weiss, and this is the same exact play. It's just, a split second or a second later. I mean, there you can see it. Skinner, number 4, sliding in. He's now landed on the ground in front of the runner, having made the throw, and is completing his movement as he tries to safely land there on the ground. But this is wild. Like, 2 different companies using, in the same year, using imagery from the same play. I guess, obviously, Topps had to have gotten in first, because this is the one that you want, right? If you had a choice between these 2 for a card, or I don't know, maybe Upper Deck, wasn't going vertical at all. I don't remember if that was something that they were willing to do at that time. And so maybe they passed on it, and Topps ended up snagging that one. Again, I wish I had that kind of history, that kind of historical detail that nobody else cares about, but I would love to know, because I'm just fascinated by how all of this came to be. This is a beautiful cornucopia of Walt Weiss action shots. So the sad thing is that in the 1991 season that this card is representing, Weiss actually suffered a horrendous injury on June 6, 1991. Playing in a game against Milwaukee, he rolled his left ankle when he was lunging for first base, and his left fibula came through the bottom of his leg and was only held on by the skin. So he was bleeding profusely and needed a transfusion. The doctor told Weiss that if the injury had occurred 15 years earlier, he likely would have faced amputation, because the medical procedures for that particular injury didn't know how else to treat it at the time. So it was very fortunate that happened later in his life. And obviously he was able to return and continue on with his career. Now, I'm not sure if that injury continued to plague him. Walt Weiss is not somebody that people are talking a lot about, or that there's a lot of additional information about. So, I guess you'd probably just have to talk to him to learn any of that. And he was elected to 1 All-Star game. And interestingly enough, that was not any of these early games, or not even his best season. His best season, he did win Rookie of the Year, by the way, in 1988. He had a 2.8 WAR, 113 hits, 250 batting average, 312 on base percentage. Those aren't like super stellar numbers, so it's kind of interesting that he won. Maybe because he had these kind of electric-looking plays in the infield that would have attracted voters to think that he was this phenomenal player, which he was a good defensive player as far as I can tell. But, his bat always hindered him a little bit in terms of the lineup. But it was the 1998 season that is the one that he was finally elected to serve on the All-Star team. And that was not with the A's, that was with the Atlanta Braves. And he said that held a special meaning for him because his 3-year-old son, Brody, was in attendance, and a week before the game, Brody had been in a coma in an Atlanta hospital and a victim of E. coli. And his recovery was actually in doubt for several days. And so for him to be able to wave to his son Brody in the stands of the All-Star game, he said was just an absolute highlight of his night, maybe even of his career. And so obviously that's just a special memory for him. Now, another just kind of interesting detail, Walt Weiss actually has the very first recorded RBI for the Florida Marlins.
What was the pitch, Walt, that you hit off of Orel there to drive in the first 2 runs. You know, I went up there in a RBI situation, just looking to get something I could drive, and I think he got a curveball a little up on a 1-strike count, and I was able to get the good part of the bat on it and drive it down the line and get 2 guys around. But you know, it's always a battle up there against Orel because he's got such great control, and he's battled back from that arm surgery. He's still a real good pitcher.
So, there you go. You probably know more than you ever thought you would know about Walt Weiss and this card, even though I feel like I barely know anything about this card. And it was just shocking to me that there was no real information. Like even when the beat reporters were covering this game, no mention of a double play, no picture in the newspaper. This picture didn't get out there. I don't know how Topps ended up getting access to this particular photo, but if you know that 1991 Topps series, the photography in there, I believe, is just really something special, and that would be worthy of its own video, its own discussion, because there's just so many great shots from that set, and I really love it. I love the set. I like the design of it. To me, it's just quintessential 1990s, early 90s, and this particular card, let's get the victory lap here, because this is a favorite card in my collection. And yes, it'll definitely make the top 40. So I appreciate you taking the time to watch. This is MD with Bases Beautiful. We'll see you next time.
Drastically. McGuire won. They got to make the tag at second base. It hits the runner. Still got him.
Well, they hit him and kept him from getting to the bag, and it makes the last out.
Walt Weiss with a heads-up play. Had to put the tag on. It's a double play. 3-6. It bounces off his back.